we'll roll with it.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Millennial Management Podcast. I'm your host, Brandi, the Millennial Manager, and today is Friday. We are going to be discussing burnout, and today we have our burnout empowerment coach. His name is Andrew. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, and then we're going to get into how you are experiencing burnout, like what are some of the symptoms, and his own experience with burnout, and then some ways to navigate burnout when you start experiencing it. So, how can we navigate those things? So, Andrew, I'm going to give you the floor. Tell the people where to
Mhm.
follow you, and let's get going.
Yeah, thank you, Brandy. My name's Andrew Hallam. My handles on Instagram and TikTok are at Discover Your Tempo.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm a burnout coach. So I help people recover from burnout and take back the time of their lives because life's too short to be struggling to work this early in life. Gotta
Yeah.
own every day.
Yes. Now, can you tell us, like, what are some of the things that contribute to burnout? Like, how do we
Mhm.
get there in the first place?
How do we get there in the first place? Yeah,
Hmm.
it's scary because you can get there without even realizing you're on that path.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think some of the biggest things become losing your time and energy, uh,
Hmm.
getting through work. So when you may be procrastinating, letting tasks build up, feeling now stressed about a bigger list and unable to plan for the next week's tasks and um, maybe it's irritability. You're going through life and just feeling overwhelmed by things shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's driving you crazy still.
Mm. So do you mean like overreacting over like small situations that you normally would not care about? Suddenly those things are a big deal. Like just having
Mhm.
those big emotions to small scenarios?
Yeah, it's a kind of explosion. Even if something it bothers you. For me, the way people drive on the road, I know it bothers me, and it could be the little things. It can be a absolutely dangerous thing someone did that could have risked a life.
Right.
Um, but either way, it's exploding that feeling where maybe someone took your parking spot and now, yeah, you're angry in the moment, but now you're going through the grocery store and you're pissed off, grabbing your list and going, oh, what did I need?
Mhm.
Or I don't know. It's the extension
It's
and
like how long
explosion.
that feeling stays with you. So,
Yeah,
like, the
exactly.
initial situation happens, and then
Hmm.
you stay in that spot. You cannot progress. It seems like you
Hmm.
are struggling to move forward, and that is like a symptom, or that's like one of the things that you maybe like a red flag. We can say, "This is a
Hmm.
red flag for me." If I'm having a situation, I can't really move past it. I've been carrying this anger and frustration, like it may be a sign towards burnout. Now, before you were telling me that you had your own experience with
Hmm.
burnout. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it that was pretty dark. Um, I felt like I had really just lost hope.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to get by for anyone these days. So it was getting through my job. Maybe I'd done this successful thing. I got a promotion, and I track my finances pretty well, and I'm looking at like the retirement date, and it doesn't move. That scared me,
Yeah.
but uh, it was getting to the point of like I knew the way I was treating myself, the way I was keeping up my own health, energy, time, it was not going to last.
Yeah.
I could forecast that it was going to run out before 30, 40 years of however long I needed to keep going. So um, I think that was a key point to decide to change, where I began to seek therapy and to begin uh, journaling and trying to find something to look forward to, because I was at a point where I wasn't looking forward. It scared me.
Yeah. Now you mentioned journaling, and on your
Mhm.
social media, I've been seeing you did the for the month of December, it was the 30 days of journaling, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And on some of those days, you have specific topics and things that you're writing about inside of the journal. Can you walk us through that process?
Yeah. So the whole the format I was putting it to was kind of three pieces, and uh, I played around with how I was posting it, but I think what I would do would be kind of a way to reflect first. So emotions build up, problems build up. You gotta get that struggle out there to first start begin processing it. Um, Gratitude is something I love to do daily. I think absolutely everyone needs gratitude
Mhm.
because, as I said before, it's a hard world out there.
Yeah.
So you got to look for what fills you up, what does give you energy, and you just become more grateful the more you look for it. Um, and an act. So this is cool, great and all. You've begun to put your problems out there. You're grateful you had the opportunity to put a good meal on your dinner table that day. Now, how are we going to actually take these thoughts, the struggles we have, and make the tomorrow a better day? You know,
I
growth.
really love that you said that about the gratitude part because I feel like even with kids, like I have 3 children and the teenagers they struggle with the gratitude part because they're not really, I mean, they've only been on this earth for a short amount of time. So they don't really have a lot of like they don't have the ability sometimes to kind of see a situation and be like, I really should be grateful for this. And is that something that you recommend us have our kids do as well? Because oh my goodness. If y'all are like me, I know y'all kids are a little ungrateful at times. Like while they overall they may be very thankful for things, but even children can go through that as well, just that ungratefulness because you just automatically think these things are supposed to be, but you forget that there are people who are less fortunate.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would describe myself as being one of those. I've got some choice words how I describe my teenage years. Um, yeah, I it is something I guess we've discovered more as adults. But if you're getting into the kid space, what I guess the hardest part of starting that gratitude routine was that
Mhm.
it wasn't a routine to begin with.
Mm.
Um, you can. I was glad for things like the life my parents had gifted to me, but I was angry at the world. Um, I had a lot of places I could put anger,
Mhm.
and gratitude is harder to see when you're one putting your anger places. But I think that practice the act of a ritual time to practice gratitude for us, we have to say something we're grateful for before we eat dinner.
Yeah.
Um, just like what are you glad that happened today? Doesn't have to be big, doesn't
Mhm.
have to be world changing every day, but the act of practicing, I'm thinking of it, the second we're finishing dinner, maybe we put a plate down and I'm thinking about like, oh, what am I gonna give as my gratitude thing today? And it's just it's a habit now. It's instinctual. It's you're looking for it, and I've heard it a really good way recently that you're scanning for things to be
Mm.
grateful for.
That's a good way to put that. So you're actively looking, like your brain is like going through the day and you're like, wow, this happened. That was pretty good. I could use this as my, gratitude, example when you all talk about it. So I really like that you talked about that. That is really, really good.
Mhm.
Is that something that I mean, I think we all just struggle with? We expect certain things every day. And
Mhm.
once things become a routine for you, you struggle with when things aren't that way and you just automatically think that they're supposed to be when in reality you are just very lucky and
Mhm.
blessed in a lot of situations that is your situation. Can you tell me what was something on your job that was specifically burning you out? Like, was it the hours? Was it just the mundaneness of the job? I don't even know if that's a word. It could be. But was it just like the mundane things that you do every day that
Mhm.
created that burnout for you?
I think That's pretty close. I think if I had to pin it down out
Mhm.
for myself, I've also been on a path to discover that I have ADHD,
Yeah.
and I definitely noticed that I would have reactions the more my attention was getting pulled left, right, left, wherever.
Mhm.
Um, I would be really anxious logging on in the morning because I knew I would have probably a list of emails from people who work different hours, different time zones, and more
Yeah.
requests. And it was like constant pulling of my attention, distractions that I struggled with, where they weren't so difficult of tasks, those parts, but there was a bigger, more important part of my job I wanted to do. I felt that I lost focus on because I was getting pulled.
In those different directions.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just losing my focus. And then I have to spend more energy to refocus on what I do need to get done as my attention's just getting thrown to the wolves.
So how do we like when we are going through burnout, right? So let's say we have acknowledged that
Mhm.
this is what's happening. Do you recommend seeking a therapist first, or do you recommend maybe some hobbies, some things that kind of take you outside of the workspace, help you kind of center yourself again? Like, do you recommend going to a therapist first? Like, what are some of the things that you did to process that burnout?
Mhm. Yeah. It can definitely go a number of directions. For me, the therapist helped to process because it had gotten to the point of depression. And
Yeah.
I think depression and burnout might go hand in hand a lot of times. Obviously, if you worked really hard for a month, maybe you're not depressed, but you might have some resentment. You might be burnt out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I know, the reason I noticed it went as far as depression was because it kept being a cycle. I would be, I was burnt out the entire time, but I would get my energy back, work really hard, burn out again. Um,
You were in a
so
cycle.
I was in a cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So therapy and um, gotta check in on long term planning. When you're uh, stuck in that cycle, it's because you're not doing the habit building, routine building, the mindset building
Oh, this
to
is so good.
actually cement your foundation to get out. Because that cycle is going to keep coming back.
So
You're going to
is
have
it the
another.
goals that we need to bring? Like what do we need to do?
You gotta give yourself tangible ways to get out, which means how are you going to get more time back in your day?
Mhm.
Um, a lot of habit building for me and decision fatigue has helped. So um, I'm not making decisions on a lot of the repetitive things that I do every day
Yeah.
because that's wasted energy.
Right.
So that kind of, for me, that patched a leak where waking up in the morning, I've got a set time. I wake up, get my little pre-workout breakfast thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, hop off to the gym, come back, go off for the work day. But I'm not, deciding um, at any point. I could tell you everything I'm going to do up until that point of getting to work, and then at getting to work, it gets a little bit different on what's needed of me in the job. But um, you can begin blocking time where you're taking on priorities. It's important to you to take care of your health so that as you're keeping yourself as you're getting out of your burnout, so that your health doesn't come back and kick you in the ass as you're just getting some
Mhm.
momentum.
And it
um,
will because like one of the signs I remember we talked before and it was just like your body is the first thing that tells you you
mhm,
have a problem.
yeah.
Like even today, y'all, me and Coach Andrew, we were talking and I told him I was like, I was sitting around today and I was like, I need a nap.
hmm
I need a nap. And I was gonna wait until we recorded and all this other stuff. And then I was just gonna, magically be able to go to sleep and do whatever. But we had such an eventful break and we were doing things. We went to a game, just a lot of fun stuff and just not even work. I was tired. I was exhausted. And recognizing that helped me be able to show up tonight and just be like, I know that I need a break. I need a break. And I needed that. I needed to tell myself that. And so I took a little 2-hour nap, told my husband, please take these kids. Don't ask me nothing. I don't even know y'all.
Mhm.
I need to lay down and take my, just take a little break and be able to, rejuvenate myself because I felt like I was exhausted. Like, even though I slept all night, I, went to bed at a decent hour. It was just the overall burnout of the holiday season, I felt like kind of caught up to me. And people experience it now, right? Like,
Mhm.
especially with the holiday season being over, I saw a lot of moms talking about online, like, I am tired as hell. Like, I don't
Mhm.
know what that is, but it's that holiday burnout. Once you
Mhm.
have done all the things, you've bought all the gifts, you've, organized all the schedules, you've done everything. Now that the holiday season is over, you're like, okay,
Mhm.
I I'm
Yeah.
actually like my body is now responding because you're in this flight or fight, whatever, whichever one it is, coach. I don't know, but you're in one of those things and your body is just like you don't have time to respond.
Mhm.
And it's such a like it's a cycle. Like I like what you were saying, Andrew, with when you're in that cycle like that, the way that you can get out successfully is by creating those goals, like tangible things. So once I attack this item, okay, I can move on to the next thing. I can move on to this, but you
Mhm.
have to rest in between those things.
Mhm.
Is that the key to the success for that?
I think it's incredibly important. Now that we're talking about you're coming back from energy deficit,
Mhm.
I always say schedule your breaks or they'll
Yes.
schedule you.
Oh my
And
god. Can you put that on the shirt, please?
yeah.
Schedule your breaks or they will schedule you,
Mhm.
okay? Your body will tell you immediately that you have
Mm.
to take a break, and I love that, but please continue, talk more about that.
Yeah, it's just pardon me. Yeah, the nature of coming back from that energy is
Mhm.
looking out for the signs. And I used to get migraines galore, and
Mm.
I don't know where they went. I'm not looking for them, but but began to see those signs where I knew if I take a nap at this time, all of a sudden I don't have a migraine, or it's
Mhm.
nowhere near as bad. They used to literally the onset of a migraine could end my day because it was like a ticking clock until I was going to be in the bed and dysfunctional until
Yeah,
too late.
and that's not normal, guys.
No.
It's not normal. A lot of us are like, "Oh, these are just my migraines." Like, that is not normal that you
Mhm.
experience that. And, I did a, TikTok earlier today, and I was telling people, like, clenching, like, you were talking about driving earlier, and a lot of the clenching that people experience is not necessarily traffic related,
Mhm.
it's job related.
Mhm.
Especially when you're going to work and all of a sudden you are like extremely upset, extremely frustrated, extremely irritated, and you're on your way to this job and you think, oh, it's just traffic, oh, it's just the kids. Like, no, it's
Mhm.
actually the job is where you're
Mhm.
going. And that's what's causing this problem. Did you like when you were experiencing that burnout, were you looking to transition out of your job, or is it just that you needed to prioritize yourself? Like maybe include some activities for yourself, working out. I heard that you said you did that. Like, did you need to get out of that job in particular, or was it just like just the normal stress that comes along with the position?
Mhm. I have some opinions on like, probably the job could be better always, but
Yeah.
I did notice that the problems I was having would likely follow me next job to the next job to the next job.
Mm,
So that was another sign,
that you were the
that
common denominator.
I gotta look inward. Um, but whatever I wanted that future to be, whether it to be a more ideal job, maybe the job could be something that I get really interested in and gives me
Mhm.
energy. For me, I'm looking at the business right now, and that gives me energy that I devote, some of my extra time to. Um, but if to get to any point where it was the ideal, the perfect job, the perfect business, you know, shoot for the shoot for the stars, land in the moon. What's
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
I may be saying that wrong,
Yes.
but
I know what you mean.
yeah, dream bigger, and like you'll find something that still leaves you happier. And I needed my habits to take care of me for what could be years.
Yeah.
If I want to build this business that becomes my full time job, full time business owner, then I needed to protect my mental health. I
Mm.
needed to take care of myself. If this meant performing kind of average to mediocre in my role, that's okay, because I wanted to be exceptional in my business and my home life. I want to, love the woman that's now my wife as a full conscious husband. We want kids down the road.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take any of this stress from the workday, drive home, get angry because I got cut off, and then
Mhm.
it's not their weight to hold in that burnout of me not taking care of here
Yeah.
in my mental health.
Yeah.
So
I love that you highlighted like not taking the workplace home, and a lot of people do that every single day and they don't realize that it's contributing to the home stress.
mhm,
And just another thing, this is my favorite, not overworking, guys. We talk about it
mhm,
all the time. You need to perform your job duty at the regular energy output. Do not
mhm,
overperform because it burns you out for what you really want to do, for what your real passion is. And like Andrew was saying, is that his passion is his business. That's his
mhm,
passion. That's what he wants to do, is to help other people get out of burnout, get or transition out of burnout. And when you are putting so much energy towards something during the day that's not yours,
mhm.
that is a
Yeah.
big problem. That is a no-no. And you wonder why you're stressed out, why you're frustrated, is because all of your energy, your creative processing, like I used to think I was not creative, Andrew.
Me too. I think we're gonna have a good conversation here.
Oh my goodness. I thought that I'm like, there is no way that I can create. Like I used to see people online making TikToks and stuff. I'm like, I'm really not that creative. I'm not that this. I can't do this. And it used to get me even down to like the way I dressed, the way that I decorated my home. Like I just felt like I didn't have the creative spark or the creative eye. It was because my job was sucking the life out of me.
Mhm.
So
Creative
how did
energy is limited
what
too.
was your experience with
Mhm.
that, with the creative energy?
Oh, I think it kind of yeah. There's a number of examples now, I suppose, but it when I first started making content, I had that same kind of conversation, and I had said, it comes out in words. I said like, "Oh, I'm not creative, but follow, I can follow a process, right? That
Right.
doesn't seem creative to me." But the person I was talking to is like, "Hey, creativity's a muscle.
Mhm.
You're not just creative. You practice things and learn from things, and then you think of a new idea. You do it a little bit differently, or maybe in social media, maybe this post style went well. How can I take the good bits of that and remake it, or I don't know." But the summary was, creativity is a muscle.
Mm.
You gotta practice something to actually learn how to do it well, and everybody's going to be a beginner at something. We think we should be
An
so much
expert.
further along. I think
Mhm.
because of social media, information age, and all that. But uh, when you
But you
can
mean that
learn,
I don't have to be an expert today? That I could just be a beginner?
Mhm. you to post a video that could theoretically go viral, you need, I guess, a phone. Maybe
Mhm. Yes,
you
that's
could
the key
probably rent
ingredient.
something less, but access to the internet and post a video. Um, uh, and then yeah, there's so much in, like, how do you build, like, for me, this business, how do I help someone get through burnout as well? It's taken me quite a long time to now figure out that this is what I'm helping people with. But even when I started, I was designing graphic apparel, I was making hoodies, I just wanted to make fun of the Microsoft Teams statuses, and wearing my like do not disturb, like don't talk to me hoodie.
Yes.
uh but I was just poking fun and exploring something different. That who After a couple of years of that, I started doing the coaching business, because this is now, okay, I know something I really want to pour myself into. I didn't know that at the time, though.
And you were
I
just
was just
working
doing
that
something
creative
different.
muscle
Hmm.
at that time. And this is
Yeah.
what happens, guys, when you put that focus on you and what you want to do in your life, versus a job. I'm so sorry for those of you who like that boss girl, boss bro, you are not gonna find that here. Cause
Mm-mm.
I do not like it. Like, unless it's your own business. If it's your own business, then absolutely pour that energy into your own business. But when it's somebody else's thing, you need to make sure that you are releasing in doses, because then you can avoid burnout. Andrew, I was talking to Patreon this week or last week, and we are talking about ways that we can overcome burnout. This was like a pre-talk to kind of let them know that this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you recommend like activities like pottery courses, painting classes, like things that kind of activate the creative side of your brain so that you can feel a sense of calmness and you have this activity that you're doing that in addition to therapy, because therapy is number one, having a activity that can kind of take your mind off of those negative things that you have going on in the workplace
Mm.
until you can exit out. Do you recommend that?
I think if this is coming from people, it sounds like they have a little bit of an interest. Comes to me is a question I would ask myself, or ask these someone who has this question, is, what's the intent of what you're doing? I
Mm,
had an activity that I've actually given up. I've replaced it with other things, but it became, I was playing soccer weekly, and maybe I liked it as a kid, but I was losing the passion for it. And so the question there was, why am I showing up? And it was, yeah, I had some friends there that I liked to hang out with,
mhm.
but overall the activity wasn't it.
Yeah.
Um, so it kind of changed how I do it. I still, have these friends that I hang out with, um, and just attend other things, go on hikes, go on. I've gone to a sip and paint before,
Mhm.
and the intent was just to have fun with friends. So curiosity is king. If you're curious about something, that's all the reason you need to go do a pottery course, to go,
Yes.
I don't know, go on an adventure. It's life's way of learning what you do love, learning what you are passionate about, what actually you want to look forward to. So you
Mhm.
got to be curious. And curiosity is also kind of that precursor to creativity. You what is this whole coaching business? How do I help someone do what I did? Okay, well, who's done it before?
Yeah.
I looked at people who are coaching and their methods, and how do you actually get someone to do something. I can know what you should do in this moment. Maybe you should um, go to therapy, but I can, if I tell you anyone go to therapy, I know what my reaction was when people have suggested therapy before. It's like you retreat. Someone
Yeah, you feel
suggested
like
it.
something's wrong.
Yeah, and it's a bit of, where's it going on that, um, a bit of the essence of coaching is opening up the coachee, the person's mind, to say what they want
Yeah.
and own it, and just be curious to go out and try it. Like the essence of doing what you say you're going to do. I think in burnout we lose belief in ourselves,
Mhm.
because you keep saying, I'll get to this, and you get to it a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, whatever it winds up being, and that hurts your own self-belief.
Yeah. It actually, like, it damages you quite a bit because I'm not gonna lie and say I've never procrastinated. That's not true.
Mm.
We have
I'm
all done it. Like, "Oh, I'm gonna get to it on this day. I'm gonna get to it on this day." And then you look up and this day is here, and now you have kind of found yourself in a pickle because you waited. And so you talked about procrastination. What are some other signs for us? So procrastination is one. I know we talked
Mhm,
about irritability. So what
mhm,
are some other signs that someone may be experiencing burnout? And then track us through the process of how to book with you, how to schedule with you, some of the things that you're going to be talking about in that session that they schedule.
mhm. So some of the other signs, eh, to me, I think part of it's like, do you actually believe in what you're working toward? Um, because it took me a long time to put it to something I do believe in. Um, but there was a pretty strong feeling that I knew the work I was doing was
Mhm.
not going to fill me up, and I just didn't know the next step. So not knowing the next step is also a pretty good point. If you don't have an idea, like how are you working towards a happier, filler life? Look, and that essence of curiosity and creativity. You practice. You try something different. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Both are valid. Um, I had a thought in there.
So we're talking about the process for burnout. So, what are some of the things that you recognize for burnout? So, number 1,
Mhm,
procrastination, we talked about that. Lack of
mhm.
interest is what you were describing, and then what are some other things?
Yeah, it's. I think the cycle is what you need to look for the most.
Yeah.
If you came out of something and you took care of yourself, you got your health and habits all in track. Great. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not burnt out. Maybe you are. Doing okay, and you're looking forward to life. But the cycle of going from it's a matter of time before something in my job sets me off. Um, that's not normal to me. I know that corporate may think it's normal.
Right. But it's not an actual normal thing
Mhm.
for people to feel that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes. And then tell us how we can book. How can we schedule with you?
Yeah, you can do it a few ways. Probably best way, send me a message on either Instagram or TikTok at Discover Your Tempo.
Mhm.
I also have a website. You can go to the coaching tab on there at discoveryourtempo.com. And yeah, I'm pretty active in my messages. It's me, just me. So if you uh, send me anything, send me the word tempo or just hi, you'll be actually speaking to me. I don't have any sort of bots or people talking for me. Um, but yeah, and I'd thought I want to get it out there while I'm thinking of it.
Yeah.
You mentioned a number of times to not go above and beyond in your role, and that's exactly the key difference in going above and beyond is like the extra 2 to 3 hours, whatever you want to call it. If you worked an extra 1 to 2 hours every day on your job, that's not going to get you a promotion.
Mm-mm.
Promotion may get you in the 8 hour, 40-hour work week, whatever your schedule is, in those frames, like that may get you your promotion. But the additional hours outside of that, that's not getting you noticed. It's all a schmoozing charisma game
Mhm.
after that. So yeah, put those couple of hours into something that could be different, could be a life changer. It
I
doesn't
love
have to
that.
be a business or a win all, but do something different.
It's something that edifies you as a person and not
Mhm.
the corporation. Okay, guys,
Yeah.
is what he's saying.
Your story.
Yes, something that is for you is so, so important that we really value that part of ourselves, and make sure that we prioritize that. And so, y'all make sure you book if you're going through burnout because I am not a burnout coach. You know what I'm going to tell you.
Mhm.
FTJ. But Andrew Andrew is skilled and he has the ability to navigate you through this tough time of burnout, because burnout is a real thing and it happens to the best of us. Sometimes you are very, very successful in your job and you may be good at it, but you don't realize that you're good at masking the burnout.
Mm,
You're good at hiding that from yourself and not listening to your body. And so definitely make sure that you schedule a one-on-one with Coach Andrew, and his social media is Discover Your Tempo. That's TEMPO. I'll make sure that it is linked on the podcast information box. I'll make sure that it's there. Do you have any closing words for everybody? I wanted to call you Dr. Andrew. Coach Andrew, do you have
give me
any
the promotion
do you
there.
have any closing words for anyone?
No, I all I want is for the people to do better. I've never, corporations are not living beings. I just
Mm,
want the world for people. And yeah, it's very personal. The problems can be very global. You're
yeah.
talking about powers bigger than you that have created problems bigger than you for longer than you, but the solution's personal. Nobody's going to light your fire like you are.
Oh my gosh. That's also on the shirt, right, Coach Andrew?
Sorry?
Nobody's gonna that's gonna be on the shirt too. Nobody's
Yeah,
gonna light
nobody's
your
going to light
fire
your fire.
like you. Yes, and it's your responsibility to really take charge of yourself, and I tell everyone that you are the CEO of your own life, so you're
Mhm.
responsible for what happens to you. Now that things have, you've kinda made it to this point, now it's your responsibility to schedule and book your appointment with Coach Andrew, not Dr. Andrew. I don't know why.
Those are my parents.
Yeah, right. So for schedule with Coach Andrew, and see it through. So I'm going to end our podcast episode here. Thank you so much, Coach Andrew. I really appreciate you coming on. Again, tell the people where they can find you, and then we're gonna wrap it up for today.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandy. This has been wonderful conversation. I appreciate your energy. But yeah, you can all find me at Discover Your Tempo, TEMPO, and discoveryourtempo.com, but mainly active on Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, that's my jazz.
All right, guys. Well, we will see y'all on the internet. You have a wonderful day. Coach Andrew, stay on with me, and y'all have a good one. Bye.